Here for your lift truck?
Yeah.
Who just joined us?
Finance said if they approve it, Jake gets to drive it around.
Motor pool, or fleet manager, Todd Rainey.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I can see you all, but you're very small. I can't see any face features.
Okay, we are live and chat is working. Commissioner Freeling's almost in the room. Hold on just 1 second. All right, we're good to go.
Good morning, all. Welcome to the Berrien County Finance Committee meeting. Stephanie Carlson, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough.
Present. City of Benton Harbor via Zoom.
Commissioner Hinkleman.
Present.
Commissioner Scott.
President via Zoom, New Buffalo Township.
Commissioner Freeling.
Present via Zoom, Baroda Township.
Thank you. We're all here. And then I would ask if you would help us and keep us on track with the agenda. If you let us know what our first item is.
Sure. Yeah, so the first item is going to be bid openings for the, looks like they're all for the road department, and Jake is going to open those for you. I did send you the memo with the verbiage according to how they should be approved.
Yes. Do you all have that? See, this is what I don't know. When I'm on Zoom, I don't know how to look at other things on the computer. Did you all see that motion? I thank you for that, Lynette.
If you don't have it, I can always read it like I did last week.
Jake, if you would go ahead, please, with the bid opening and the waiver.
All right, the first bid is 2021-41 for bridge inspections. We sent it to 5 bidders and 1 responded. That is Scott Civil Engineering out of Grand Rapids.
As a disclosure, I want everybody to know I have no interest in this company at all.
Oh.
And so I would ask Commissioner Scott, you would pay good attention and make a report on the bids and the waivers.
Absolutely.
Thank you. What happened to the sound?
Oh, I'm sorry. Jake was making a lot of noise, so I muted the room.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, their bid is for, I'm sure this is for the whole thing. Okay. $5,330.
Would you state the name of the company again?
Scott Civil Engineering out of Grand Rapids.
Thank you.
And that was the only bidder for that bid.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I'd like to make a motion that we refer the bid back to the department with the approval to move forward with the lowest bidder if they are an approved responsible bidder and meet specifications and requirements. In addition, we authorize the county administrator to execute the subsequent contract associated with this bid and any contract modifications up to $5,000. Communication from the road department must be submitted to the finance committee in an event that they want to move forward with a bidder that was not the lowest bidder to provide justification and obtain additional approval.
Thank you so much. May I have a support, please?
Second.
Moved and properly supported. Any questions? I have a question. How many, are there a lot of bridges, not many bridges? Is there a road department person?
I think that the bid document referenced a half dozen bridges,
Okay,
but I'm going on memory. Jake and I just talked with Chris Cook yesterday, and I'm fairly certain he referenced a half dozen.
Yeah.
yeah, that, it just seemed like such a low amount and not many people. I just wonder. Any other questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman. Is that a yes?
Commissioner Hinkleman? Oh,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Next is bid 2021-42 for U-channel post and sign brackets. We sent it to 4 people. I know for sure 2 responded. This vendor did not put what bid this goes to, so I'm gonna open them first and see what bid it is to. And it looks like it's multiples. So they did bid on 42. This is MD Solutions out of Plant City, Ohio. Their bid is $55,768. Next is Rathco Safety Supply out of Portage, Michigan. Their bid is $54,113. And the last bidder is Dornbow Sign out of Charlotte, Michigan. And their bid is $25,341.50.
It really appears that the road department got that wrong with the projected cost.
Yep.
Hey, say that again, what the projected cost, what did you say?
The projected cost by the road department was $10,000.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, they got that wrong. Madam Chair, it's Commissioner Scott.
Yes,
I move that we refer the bids to the lowest bidder if they are an approved responsible bidder that meets specifications and requirements. Communication from the department must be submitted to the Finance Committee in the event that they want to move forward with a bidder that was not the lowest bidder to provide justification and obtain additional approval.
Sorry, before you keep going, this last vendor had 3 bids in the same one, so I read the wrong bid amount for that. So, what was this again?
this is Dornbow.
Yeah, Dornbow's sign bid was not 25,000, it was $60,799.50 for this one.
Okay. Thank you for the correction. Are you still reading that motion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay,
did we have support? Did I miss that?
We did not have support. I support.
thank you very much, Commissioner. Any further questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Commissioner Yarborough?
Yes? Can you hear
There we
me?
go.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Jake?
Next is bid 2021-43 for reflectorized sign cases. We sent it to the same board as the last one. One responded, and it was Dornbow Sign in Charlotte. Their bid was $23,324.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
before I
just
make,
still.
before I make a motion, I have a question. I have a question, Madam Chair, for the county administrator.
Okay,
Brian, these last two bids, if you look, projected cost was 10,000. Lowest was 54. This bid projected cost is 5,000. The only bid was 23. My question is, all of these projected costs for these things, is this what the road department has put in their budget for the year? If so, we're going to be greatly over budget on the road department. If you just look at these two bids, we're going to be, and how often is this happening? Thank you.
Yeah, to answer your direct question, the estimates are going to tie back to the budget placeholders. So my advice is, let's package this up, send it over to Chris and have him start reviewing it. And more than likely, we're going to have to say no to one or multiple projects to ensure that they stay within their budgeted amount.
Thank you for that explanation. I was just a little concerned because last year at the end of the year, in 2020, at our final finance meeting, we had to transfer money out of the road fund to balance the books, and that's what's got me concerned. But anyway, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we refer the bids back to the department with the approval to move forward with the lowest bidder if they are an approved responsible bidder that meets specifications and requirements. Communication from the department must be submitted to the finance committee in the event that they want to move forward with a bidder that was not the lowest bidder to provide justification and obtain additional approval.
may I have support, please?
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Freeling. Thank you for the question you asked Commissioner Scott, because I was going to ask Jake if he would let us know what the estimate or expected amount was. And so I'd like to know on the first one, on the bridges, what did we expect that, or the estimate of that would be? We have the other two now.
Madam Chair, I believe that was listed at 15,000.
Sounds
That was 5330, or yeah, it came in at 5,330, way under their budgeted cost.
All right. So 15,000 was the estimate?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what I want to say is with the road department, you know, from that Act 51 is where we've taken money from, or where the money comes from. I don't think it'll be that they won't be able to do the work or have enough money to do the work. Administrator Doucette, what?
So here's my advice. You all are going to meet the first week of May. At that time, what I'd like to do is have Chris Cook and possibly Kevin Stack just join the finance committee meeting and discuss today's bids, and then offer your recommendation on what, if any, of these bids should be approved, and then just give you a general update on what the bidding atmosphere looks like at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Administrator Doucette. Administrator Doucette, could I make a request, sir, that in that meeting we have that the road department financial director Carrie Bent be there also?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Just make sure to put the right number.
Jake, do we have any more bids?
Yes, we do. Still 3 more road bids.
Okay,
I was just, all right, the next one, oh,
Call the roll.
I'm sorry.
oh, sorry.
Oh.
Thank you, Stephanie.
He's on it.
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes,
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
motion carries. Thank you. Jake?
All right, next is bid 2021-44. This is for prefabricated signs. And you wanted the estimated cost, you said?
Yes, please.
Okay, $5,000.
Okay,
And the first bidder is, this is Dornbow, yeah, Dornbow, and their bid is $85,209.05.
woo,
The second is MD Solutions. Looks like they've got a bunch of
Jake,
yeah,
on the sheets that you sent over,
yep.
you only had printed Dornboss and Rathco. So
Yeah, I didn't do MD Solutions because theirs came in a unmarked one and I didn't know there was 2 bids in there.
thank you.
Yep. Thanks, okay, 870. I think that's a 5. Their bid is, let me see if I can do it. Yeah, 11,419.50. This is bid 44, right? Yeah, okay. And the last one is Rathco Supply. Their bid is $76,512.40. So let me look at this one. Make sure I didn't miss any pages. It looks like they didn't bid on a lot of these signs, Plant Solutions. Because there's a lot of fields that they just have crossed out.
okay. Because I was wondering, did they understand the bid?
Yeah,
Jumping all over.
Yeah, they have the same form as everyone else. They just crossed out 80% of it and then filled out one spot of it.
Okay.
Madam
So, you sent it out to how many? Received 3?
We sent it out to 4 and received 3.
Yeah, I have the motion, please, to accept these.
Madam Chair, this committee will refer the bids back to the department with the approval to move forward with the lowest bidder. They are an approved responsible bidder that meets specifications and requirements. Communication from the department must be submitted to the finance committee in the event that they want to move forward with a bidder that was not the lowest bidder to provide justification and obtain additional approval.
May I have support, please?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported. Any questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Thank you. Jay?
All right, next is bid 2021-45 for aluminum sign blanks. Projected cost was $15,000. We sent it to 4 people. 1 responded, that's Dornbow Sign, and their bid was $25,341.50.
Thank you. Any questions? May I have a motion, please, to accept the bid?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I move that we refer the bids to the department with the approval to move forward with the lowest bidder if they are an approved responsible bidder that meets specifications and requirements. Communication from the department must be submitted to the Finance Committee in the event that they want to move forward with a bidder that was not the lowest bidder to provide justification and obtain additional approval.
Thank you. May I have support?
Support.
Thank you. Any questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes?
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Jake, do you have any more?
Yeah, one last bid, and that is bid 2021-48 for hot mix crack filler material. Projected cost was $30,000. The first bid, we sent it to 6 bidders and 2 responded. The first is Ersko Construction Supply out of Wyoming, Michigan. Their bid is $18,295.20.
From what is their city?
Wyoming, Michigan. Next is Sherwin Industries out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Their bid is $20,475.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I move that we refer the bid to the department with approval to move forward with the lowest bidder if they are an approved responsible bidder that meets specifications and requirements. Communication from the department must be submitted to the Finance Committee in the event that they want to move forward with a bidder that was not the lowest bidder to provide justification and obtain additional approval.
Thank you. May I have a support?
Support.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Freeling. Any discussion or questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes?
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Motion carries. Jake?
Next is the request for waivers. I don't think it's in that order again.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, you got Todd here and you got Chris's on.
Okay,
Chris Swire's on.
The first one is from Chris Swihart, who is on the Zoom. Vendor name is BIS Digital. This is for courtroom recording and audio visual equipment. He's requesting a waiver amount of $300,000.
Chris is here. Good. May we have first have a motion? Oh, no. What do we do with waivers? we just discuss it and agree, concur?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, Chris, would you tell us what this $300,000 waiver is?
Yeah, so this is for the courtroom AV upgrade capital project that we had scheduled as part of our projects for this year. BIS Digital currently, and they've provided the audio visual equipment in all our courtrooms and portions of the jail. And they've provided that for, well, almost 20 years. So this project is to upgrade the audio visual equipment in all the courtrooms, to bring it up current because our current version doesn't support Windows 10, and B, to make it more suitable for remote hearings, for Zoom, and all the things that COVID has required these courtrooms to do. They're the sole source of the BIS software that they use. We can't get it from any other place. And to bring another vendor in to try to swap that out with a different product, or they would want to bring in their own hardware and just the difficulty of trying to do that during this difficult time, and then trying to retrain both the court staff, the jail staff, sheriff's department staff on how to use a new digital recording product would be very, very costly, difficult, and time consuming. So that's why I'm requesting that we approve BIS as a sole source for this project.
Where would the money come from?
I guess that's a question really for Doug. It was part of the capital projects for 2021. So. Oh,
okay, so it's already in there. Is it possible, administrator, that we could have some of that CARES money or some other things coming in for it?
Potentially, we're still waiting for budget guidance from the state of Michigan on the upcoming American Recovery Act. Mm-hmm. So, without firm guidance from the state, I hesitate to say that, yeah, we can do that. This is a budgeted request. It is something that is absolutely necessary. And I've also signed off on the sole source recommendation. My advice to finance is this is something that needs to move forward.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Members?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott.
Yes.
Devil's advocate here. BIS Digital has just declared bankruptcy and has gone out of business. What do we do now? I guess that's to Chris, because at some point in time, we don't know what's going to happen with the volatility in our country on whether or not these companies are going to continue to stay in business. So at some point in time, we're going to have an idea of what it's going to cost to replace this entire system. It could be that there are other companies out there that would also bid on doing this, because it's don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from you and what you're saying, but there's other companies that supply this type of equipment for courtrooms and everything across the United States. It's just not BIS Digital. So I guess I'm in support of it, but I'm not in support of it, because I'd like to see it go out for bids just in case, so we know. That's my only thought. What's your thoughts on that, Chris?
So I agree. There are other sources out there for this kind of equipment and hardware. I just think that this time to try and implement that level of a change, during the restrictive of COVID, of all the things that we're dealing with at this time, it would be extremely costly and difficult for the county. I can't imagine the lost productivity time. You have the courts that are now trying to catch up with a tremendous backlog of cases, then trying to implement a new court recording system, training their staff. I mean, it would only put them farther behind and further strain on them when they're already, trying to deal with all the things that they're dealing with right now. Same with the sheriff's department. BIS Digital isn't only in Berrien County. They're used throughout the state of Michigan. I know the state court uses their products. So I don't think we're in trouble of that product going bankrupt anytime soon. They're launching several new products and definitely entrenched in a lot of courts throughout the country. But agreed, maybe at some point it makes more sense to put this out for bid, the next time we hit that upgrade path. But I just feel that this is really not the time to do it.
And I may agree with that, but I would just caution or send a word of advice, maybe, if you want to say that, to our administrator, that once we do get guidance on this COVID money coming from US Treasury, that if something like this is allowable, that maybe you should investigate that, Chris. Just because we put something out to bid does not mean we have to go through with the project. Am I correct? We could put something out to bid for the courtrooms and the jail to upgrade or to see what the pricing is. Just because we put it out to bid does not mean that we have to go and authorize those bids and change over. But I just want to find out if there's a more viable solution or whatever. That's all I have.
Understood.
Yep.
Any other talk about this, commissioners, committee?
I had one brief question, Madam Chair. Chris, can you tell me how long we've had a working relationship with BIS Digital?
Yeah, we've been a customer of BIS for, if it isn't 20 years, it's awful close. They've been here as long as I've been with the county, which is going on 15 years now. They worked in the courtrooms under Ken Hoffman. I did talk to him briefly and went poking back through our previous purchase history with BIS, and it's pretty close to 20 years that they've been in the courtroom.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? What I would like to say is I concur that you go and engage and do this with, I don't know if you're saying B like boy or D like David, BIS.
B as in boy.
Thank you. BIS, that you go ahead and my vote or my concurrence is that we go ahead and do this. And maybe another time when you can sample around, but I think this is not the time.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Madam Chair, I concur.
Thank you.
I do too, Madam Chair. I'm allowable for this. I was just playing the devil's advocate as far as what we should or should not be doing. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I thought, what do you know? How do you know that?
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, that's a $300,000 is way over what we have allowed in our waiver. So I have questions when it comes to that because yeah, it's our responsibility.
Yeah. And may I ask Commissioner Hinkleman, do you agree or what should we do?
No, I'm perfectly at peace with the decision that staff has made and we can go ahead and move forward with it. But Commissioner Scott isn't wrong. It's nice to know that there are other options out there that are available. And should we have to go that direction, that'll be fine. The folks got a lot of catching up to do right now. So I'm perfectly at peace.
Thank you. Thank you. So please know, Administrator Doucette, that please concur that we'll do this be done.
Sounds good.
Okay, you have other waivers?
All right. Yep, while we got Chris all warmed up, we'll stick with him. The next is IT hardware service and support IBM mainframe, asking for a waiver amount of $32,892.
And Chris, would you tell us what this is and why?
So this is on our favorite topic that I seem to talk about too often these days, our mainframe. So we have hardware support with a company, Decision One, that we, every year we renewed. Last year in April, we signed a 20-month contract with them to, at the time, carry us out to, what we felt the mainframe was going to be around for to the end of this year in 21 when, Equivant comes in. They decided it was roughly the end of December, first part of January, that they no longer want to provide support to our mainframe. They no longer had access to parts. They no longer had the service knowledge to work on our equipment. The guy that had been servicing our equipment retired. And, so they didn't have access to him anymore or anybody available to them that knew how to work on the equipment. So they basically they wanted out of their contract. I've spent a lot of time going back and forth with them, working with legal counsel, Judge Duane, and basically at this point they've terminated the contract. They don't want to work with us anymore. So I need to secure somebody to come in because we don't have hardware support on our mainframe. It's an emergency situation. There's a company called Service Express, whom we've done business many years ago that used to work on our mainframe. That they've agreed, they've drawn up a service agreement. I had Judge Duane review it. He's in approval. I have the money in my budget to cover the service costs, so I'm just looking for the board to give me the okay today, the committee to give me the okay today to move forward with that.
Okay, any questions or discussion?
Chris, I don't have a problem with this. Brian, by doing this and getting this support and service for the main.
Commissioner, I'm sorry. Brian just stepped out for a second. Hang on.
Chris, this person comes to us. Do they live in our area, or what do they do? Come and stay and work on it until it's.
Yeah, so that was another thing I had in my the document there. They're based out of Grand Rapids, so they're within a couple of hours response time. To be real frank, there aren't a lot of companies out there with any knowledge or ability to work on this 38-plus-year-old equipment. So, the fact that we have somebody that they're very close and able to respond if we run into a hardware issue is a real plus. Again, the county does have a past, although be it many years ago, with the company. And I think the decision to move to them was at the time when we made the decision to move to Decision One was because they were this company was servicing Whirlpool and probably gave us a little bit better deal at the time. But they weren't terminated because of poor service.
Okay.
And Chris, this isn't anything to do with going ahead and moving more forward quickly to get rid of the mainframe. This is to save the mainframe. For your estimation, for how long before we can get off of it?
My estimation, to be honest with you, is probably close to phase 2 go live on Equivant is scheduled for the end of 22. So we really need to maintain the mainframe up until that portion of time. I have started investigating other options, just to have in my back pocket if we need to migrate stuff off the mainframe, what are our options and those kind of things to see what the cost of that is as opposed to maintaining it. Very costly to try and migrate, into a newer version of the mainframe to what we're running in today. So really the best option for the county going forward is to try and just limp this thing along until we can get to that point and finally get everything off it. We have the phase 1 go live for the courts coming up here in June, and then phase 2 to follow after that.
All right, that's fine. And I concur that we need to do this. I guess I was putting a little fun in the meeting because as long as the jail finishes before the mainframe, I'm good. I bet on that.
And what you were going to ask Administrator, did you ask Chris, already, or can you ask him?
Yes. No, I'm good. I'm good, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Okay. Are there any other questions? And I concur. I'd say, please find, try the Service Express, hoping they have someone that can do it. Any other, you all agree? Yes. Jake, if you give us the next waiver request.
All right, the next one is for Todd Rainey. This is repairs of emergency vehicles, asking for a waiver amount of $5,000.
Would you explain first what this is?
Yes, this waiver is to allow the motor pool to be able to quickly estimate and repair damaged patrol vehicles without having to go back to the finance committee for each event that happens. This is budgeted amount or money for this, and this will quickly allow the vehicles to be able to repair it quickly.
Okay. I would agree with that. Other commissioners?
I'm good with it too, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, so I just wanted to ask Todd, this is sort of like our blanket expenses. You're just saying up to $5,000 is the threshold you're looking for us to approve?
Yes, typically most vehicle repairs are well over 1,000, but usually under 5. If it gets that high, we usually determine if the vehicle is worth repairing.
Sure. I concur with this.
Okay. Any other questions? Then we agree with that waiver.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good way to do that.
And the last waiver is still Todd, is a remanufactured forklift. And
Would you tell us about that, please?
Yes, this is the forklift we've been looking for. I was notified of one that was coming off of lease and is scheduled to be remanufactured. I went to Napanee and looked at a similar one, and I think this will be a good choice for us right now.
Real good. I saw that where it was, what was it, 23,000? Is that what it was?
Yes.
So do you all have any, yes, Commissioner Scott?
Madam Chair, Todd, I have a question. Sometimes my memory isn't that good, but I seem to remember you sitting on the other side of the table where Jake was over there a while ago, talking about this forklift that you were looking to purchase. Is this the same one that you had talked to us before about?
Yeah, but I didn't have one, haven't found one yet. Now I've found one and looking to move forward.
Okay, correct. But am I at least I was correct in remembering that you did bring that to us before, looking for a forklift.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Madam Chair, I'm good with this.
Good. Any other discussion? Do you all agree? Good. Okay. Thank you. Todd, please go ahead and engage it.
Thank you.
Jake, anything else?
that is it for me today.
Hey, do we have a requisition ready on the forklift?
I just got it.
Okay. We don't meet again for 2 weeks.
No, I think we're
The agenda?
I think we're good to go ahead and go with this approval,
Mhm.
because that has a vendor, correct? And that has an amount. So I would say that is your, we can jump and clarify with them, but I think we're good to go.
Okay.
That's how I see it anyway.
I just know that he's found one, these are fairly limited, and I want to make sure that with the break,
Sure.
week 5 break, that we've got everything we need so that he can proceed with the purchase.
So can we just clarify this with finance? So when we come to you with a waiver request, or even like, for example, with a bid,
Yep.
You give us the authority to move forward with that and with certain criteria, like when it's the low, make sure it's the lowest bidder. You give them the authority to go ahead and move ahead. I'm reading this that with the waiver, it has a vendor, it has an amount, you've authorized that to go forward, and we shouldn't need to have to wait for another approval by putting it on the rec list or that kind of thing. I know we do that sometimes, but so that we're not holding him up next week when the board's not meeting. That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah. I thought it meant that everything is done that we need.
That's what I thought.
This discussion and all, because it doesn't say if it's not what you asked for. It is what you're asking for. Yeah, that's
Madam
my
Chair,
opinion.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I've wondered this also about our waivers and that. We have our finance meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning. Annette has already done the requisition lists for today's meeting. Are we putting undue hardship on our staff to have them add these waivers that we've approved to the rec list, but on a weekly basis? Or are we giving special dispensation to these waivers because we do not have another meeting for 2 more weeks? I think there needs to be some, there needs to be some direction there to our administrator and to Annette on what to do. Because if Todd needs this money to purchase that and he has to wait 2 weeks until we approve a requisition, that particular forklift could be gone.
It'll be gone.
Right. And so I guess that's what I'm asking. How do we move forward with these waivers on the rec list?
Let's pause there for a second. Todd, in talking with the vendor, if you give them a verbal and say, yes, we want to acquire it, is that sufficient to get the order started? And then you'd have time to fill out the rec, bring it back, get it approved by the Board of Commissioners, and they give you like net 30 to get them paid. Can you just talk with us about what you need?
Yeah, there was a purchase agreement that needs to be signed by me or someone.
Okay.
I'm not sure, I didn't discuss him with if he needs a PO or not immediately.
Okay.
So as to your suggestion, Commissioner Scott, about putting those on the rec list, that's a very doable thing that we could do every week if we needed to. I would just alert you that it's going to look a little different. So we don't usually go into the requisition process until after that this has been approved by you guys, and so it's certainly possible to do that. We would just have to assign it a different number, because the requisition number that you see on that sheet is computer supplied. So as you go in and enter requisitions as a staff member, that number gets put on there, and that's how we get that. So we could certainly do that. We would just put like a waiver number or something on there. I think we had talked about numbering those waivers anyway.
Yeah.
And we would use the waiver number versus the requisition number, but you're still authorizing the purchase and the vendor and all of those things. Does that help?
And
Madam Chair, I do believe that makes a lot of sense. If I could bring this up to the Finance Committee, I would like to request that the request for waiver for competitive quotation for the Crown lift truck remanufactured forklift be refilled out and check the box under emergency. I think that would take care of it. Even though it says sole source, I would check the emergency justification, because in actuality, that would be kind of an emergency, because whether it's verbal or not, we have to act on this, otherwise it will be gone. Whoever Crown lift truck is, you may talk to salesperson A and then salesperson D does not know about what you discussed with salesperson A, and then they go ahead and sell that lift truck. That would be my only change to this waiver, if that's what the rest of the people think.
Commissioner Freeling?
So looking at the process, I'm just trying to wonder if this is going to start to set a precedent that's going to really start to muddy the water. When we do our bids, the bids then are approved. They move through the requisition process. They are presented to the board and approved that way. And I just wonder if we come up with two different systems of requisition and waiver, that it's really going to start to get muddy to some extent. And I don't want us to decide policy based on one circumstance because we're not meeting for 2 weeks, but to do what is most helpful for our financial service department. I look at these waiver requests no different than bids, in that when we make the bids, I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, to follow up on Commissioner Scott and Commissioner Freeling's comments, I think that we want to be cautious not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think that Todd has a lift truck that is close to our budgeted amount and appears to be a good fit for the county. What I'd like to do is work with him to fill out the purchase order, get that submitted, and then come back in 2 weeks with a requisition to authorize that purchase. You all have said that you're comfortable with us going the sole source route. I agree with Commissioner Scott. I'll check the emergency box. We can send that updated slip off to finance. But I think that we're okay if we get the purchase order filled out and submitted to Crown. Generally, getting like net 15 is not going to be a problem, and we're still within that 2 week period.
So the kicker to that, Brian, is that we need your requisition before we move to a purchase order.
Yep.
So we would be, in this case, if we have the authority to move forward with finance.
Yep.
What we would need to do is just back brief in essence of that being on the next requisition list.
Yep.
It's going to be approved on May 6th.
Yep.
But with their authority, we can move forward to get that purchase order, but the rec will still have to, that'll already have been done.
Well, if I go on that route, we ensure that we preserve the sole source process, we preserve the requisition process, and we give Todd the flexibility to, number one, we can do the verbal today. We can then immediately follow with the rec and the purchase order. And as long as Crown is comfortable with giving him a couple of weeks to get them paid, I think we should be in good shape.
Actually, this truck won't be available for 10 weeks.
We're good. Next time we will start with that question.
So to me, to waive means you don't use any of the bidding or any of the things that we normally do. It's like you say, it's an emergency, or we don't want to lose it and we need it. And Todd, you had come to us before and said you were on the lookout and something may pop up. I think about the same way about the $5,000. If you had to wait 2 weeks before you could fix something that you could do in a day and have back on the road, it doesn't need to be. You need to have that money there. So to waive means to me to get it now. That's what I thought. And this is a good example now because we're not meeting next week. But we've had things to come up and that was the only one and we needed to get it then. The same way we've been doing with the ammunition. Those are things that we need to do. We need to do our part. And so with what you just said, it's 10 weeks, but I'd like to see it move on so they'll know that we're serious about it.
And Madam Chair, I think that's why I brought this up, because there are going to come times where there's going to be extenuating circumstances. And we as a finance committee, we should be prepared to deal with these in all events. depending on the situation and it comes up. And we should have a clear, concise path that we take. Like Commissioner Freeling said, we don't want to violate policy, but on the same hand, we don't want to overburden our staff also.
Yeah.
I can't imagine these coming up quite regularly. And if they do come up quite regularly, then we may have a problem that we may need to address with the rest of the department heads. You know, I wouldn't think that our department heads would ever try and take advantage of that. I don't believe that. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to use this waiver form as the best way possible for getting the job done as the most efficient that they can. And I'm just saying that we're going to be working out a lot of issues, I think, and questions about these waivers in the weeks and months to come.
Yeah, it's new. Any other questions or discussion? And so what, this is all I can think of. Do what you said, Brian, and that Todd, whatever you all said. I agree to do that. We should do that.
All right, we need to pause just 1 second here for.
Madam Chair, we have the undersheriff on. He has a bid waiver request for holsters. We don't have it in our list, and for the second week in a row, the undersheriff has gotten kind of beat up. So we need to find the waiver request, get it scanned, get it sent out to finance. Chuck, I apologize. We missed this one.
Wait, just to clarify, it is not a waiver request. It was a bid request to go out to bid.
Oh.
I'm not asking for a waiver. We're going to follow the process. It was a bid request that was sent that I'm not sure. I don't see the agenda, so I'm not sure if that even who approves that. But I want to make sure with not meeting next week, we're actually going out to bid for the items. It's not a waiver.
Got it. Thank you, Chuck.
Administrator Doucette, you sign those, don't you?
Yep.
Or Jake?
So
Uh-huh.
I can explain this a little bit. I did get this bid request yesterday, and Chuck in his email wanted to get it out before you guys don't meet next week. He didn't want to have to wait to hold it. Me and Doug spoke briefly about it, and I didn't send it to you guys because at this point, you guys don't have to approve before we go out to bid anymore. Just Brian signs off on it. So that's why I didn't send it to you guys. So Chuck, now when we get bid requests, they go straight to Brian. When he signs off on them, then we're good to go out for bid.
So
Okay, I appreciate it. The form still has the finance committee on it, so I want to make sure we didn't miss something. So I appreciate it.
Okay.
It's going out.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so we'll make sure so we can communicate with the department heads when that
Yeah.
goes, and then we'll update that form to
Yeah.
remove that spot on there. Okay,
Okay.
we good?
That's it, unless Stephanie wants to.
Perfect, okay,
Yeah.
so,
The
we're gonna
minutes.
move forward to committee business then, and, you have your, weekly bills resolution, which is ending in 028, just need to make sure that we're good to move forward on that. That will go to the full board today. Are we okay with?
Okay. You need a motion or just an agreement, and that.
Yeah, I just need to know if we're good to move forward, if anybody has questions. Okay, all right, there's that one.
Yes.
The next was this is a board resolution. Brian sent out the background on it. It came from the Michigan Association of Counties. He was just going through finance to get finance's blessing because this is a finance issue, so to speak. And so I think you should have all received it. Basically, Michigan Association of Counties sent us a bunch of information about this subject, which they have researched. And we put this together. This resolution was reviewed by both the administrator and financial services director, Doug James. Actually, some of the input with numbers and that kind of thing came from them. So just looking to see if you guys are good with this and we're ready to move this forward, it is an added resolution on today's agenda. Good? All right.
The subject, I remember reading it. Tell me something we want.
Oops. I'm sorry, one more time, Amy.
Tell me just the subject of it. I know it was finance, I read it, but tell me what it is we agree to do.
So this was the revenue sharing. This is to ask the
That we
state.
get our money back. Yeah, okay. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
all right. And then approval of your April 15th minutes.
May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Freeling. I move that we approve the April 15th meeting minutes for the Finance Committee.
Thank you. May I have support?
I'll support that.
Thank you very much. Any questions, corrections? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
The motion carries. Anything else?
All right. I'm just checking for public comments. It'll be just a second.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I'm reporting on the bid openings from Jake Lideker. Do you also want me to report on the request for waivers, or would you like another commissioner to do that?
Yeah, Terry, did you write it down? Can you report, will you report on the waivers?
Yeah, I didn't write it down, but I want to report on the waivers.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification, Madam Chair. Doing a fine job. Finance Committee is just a smooth, well-oiled machine.
I'm melting. We're spending money. That's better than going to the mall. That's good. We're doing it.
All right, I checked for public comments. It does not appear as though you have any. Thank you.
Do we have any people online there?
You have 8 people watching right now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Anything else, Administrator Doucette?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you so much. And thank you, Todd. Thank you, Annette. And I'll keep this on or something so I can come back on here for sure, because it's really working well today.